Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to review the 2015 horror thriller Into the Grizzly Maze. A film that's been on my watch list for quite some time now, and I've just managed to get round to watching it now. And it's got an impressive cast, this film. We have James Marsden from the X-Men films, Thomas Jane, who you will know from many movies, Scott Glenn, and we have Billy Bob Thornton as well in this movie. So a really impressive cast on display here. And this is one of those man against beast movies. Man against grizzly bear, to be more specific. And if they're done right, these movies, they can be, you know, really good fun to watch movies. And my hope for this, with it having such an impressive cast, was that was what we were going to get with this movie. And to some degree we do. After watching this movie, I have to say I did have a good time with this movie. I thought it was well made, well acted, and for the most part engaging. And this film focuses on James Marsden, Rowan, who comes back to the town he grew up in as a youngster, and as he left some years previously under a cloud. And you do learn a little bit later on as to why he left the town suddenly a few years ago. And he immediately gets into bother. His brother Thomas Jane Beckett is the local deputy. Scott Glenn is the sheriff. They meet up. They're estranged brothers. They've had a falling out. You can tell they're uncomfortable in each other's presence. But then you learn very quickly that there is poachers out in the woods that are being guided out into the woods, and they've been basically killing too many bears, and it's upsetting the balance in regards to the nature. And there's too many creatures being killed, so therefore the bears that are left are struggling to find things to eat. And there's one bear in particular, this huge bear, that's had enough. Basically, it's kind of nature fighting back, and it's really angry and hungry, and it starts attacking humans. And basically Thomas Jane's wife is out in this forest. She's a photographer, she's taking pictures, so she's at risk. James Marsden has come back to town to help an old friend, so he's gone out there into the forest. He's the guide that's leading the people out there that's doing the hunting, illegal hunting. And Thomas Jane decides he's going to go out and try and save his wife and try and stop this bear. But also you've got Billy Bob Thornton's character thrown into the mix, who's like this bear hunter who's not very popular with the Thomas Jane and James Marsden characters, because he had a falling out with their father years previously. And he's like the Quint character in this movie, you know, from Jaws, Quint, the Robert Shaw character. You know, he's this, you know, steely bear hunter. And unbeknownst to Thomas Jane, the sheriff, Scott Glenn, who's got his own motivations, hires Billy Bob Thornton to go out and hunt down and kill this bear. Because Thomas Jane, when he goes into the woods, he's been preserving these bears. He's been putting like these necklace things on them to tag them, to find out what they're doing and things, to make sure they're kept safe from hunters, all the rest of it. So his main intention is to try and not kill this bear, try and put it to sleep rather than kill it. And the sheriff doesn't want that. He's got his own reasons why, so he hires Billy Bob Thornton to go out and hunt down and kill the bear. And while they're all out into the woods, they all meet up, and then basically they become the prey. They start getting hunted by this bear. And that's your movie. They've got to get out alive. It's usual kind of thing. You've seen it all, but this kind of stuff before. And that's your premise of this movie. Now, like I said, I had a pretty good time with this movie. There are some fairly dumb moments in it. The fact that, you know, James Marsden, Thomas Jane, and even Billy Bob Thornton is supposed to be the super hunter, and not one of them can fire a gun to save their life. Quite literally in this movie at times. They're all terrible shots, it would seem. So you've got a few things going on in this movie that are kind of dumb. The big thing for me, and it really put me off initially, was when the opening credits are coming on. It gave all the actors' names and stuff, and then at the end it said also starring Bart the Bear. And you're like, oh, it just completely took you out of the movie, because you're supposed to believe this bear is this monstrous killing machine, and it's called Bart the Bear. You just know it's, you know, you can hire it for your kid's party the following day or something. It's the most unmenacing name you could ever imagine. And I personally thought it was a mistake putting it in the opening credits. It should have been saved for the end credits, to let everybody know, actually, this bear was very friendly. It's called Bart, by the way. And it took me a while to see past that. Don't know why, but it did. And eventually you do, because it really does. This bear, with a combination of how they film it and some clever CGI here and there, it does come across as really quite menacing by the end. And the final 15-20 minutes of this film is pretty breakneck, pretty tension filled, and pretty scary at times. So it does deliver. It takes a while to get there, but it does kind of break up the monotony with some separate bear attacks here and there, some, you know, family arguments here and there, and a bit of chasing going on here and there. So it does kind of, the pacing's okay, but the first 40-45 minutes takes a little bit to get going, is what I'm trying to say. But I feel once it did get going, it was pretty good. This, I did feel as though, considering some of the actors in the movie, I wasn't delighted with how some of the characters were written, if you like. They weren't overly likeable, and they weren't given an awful lot to do, and that includes Thomas Jane in particular and Billy Bob Thornton. I thought James Marsden had a pretty reasonably fleshed out character. They even gave him a pretty decent backstory. Thomas Jane could have been played by anybody, that character, and the Billy Bob Thornton character, again, I don't feel as though they gave him enough to do in the movie, personally, but maybe they only had him for a short period on filming, who knows. So a couple of missed opportunities with the casting going on there. But otherwise, yeah, a little bit of dodgy CGI right at the end. Well, a couple of times in it you notice it, a bit of dodgy CGI. And like I say, you know, it really does took me a while to get over the Bart the Bear thing, you know. You're supposed to believe it's this ferocious, menacing beast, and it's called Bart the Bear. It really, I don't know why it really bothered me, that. Don't ask me why. But it really took me out of the movie, took the immersion away from me. But yeah, I'm glad I watched this movie. It's pretty good. Impressive cast, well made. Some good tension moments, some good scary moments, and yeah, I'd say this is worth a watch, guys. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. So thanks for watching.